Welcome back as we continue our Friday edition of All Bets Are Off here on SportsTime Ohio. Bob France alongside two guys that I never thought I'd be sitting alongside. If you're a wrestling fan like I'm a wrestling fan, you know who they are before I even introduce them. I grew up in the 1980s watching these guys, cheering for these guys, in fact hating these guys, depending on the given match and the feud that they were involved in. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Jim the Anvil Neidhart, one half of the legendary Hart Foundation from the 1980s and even into the early 1990s, I think, with the old WWF, now the WWE, and to his right, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Former world champion, intercontinental champion, pretty much every belt that was ever held in the WWE. And now they're in Cleveland because they're actually going to be wrestling tonight for the vacant tag team championships with Pro Wrestling Ohio. And gentlemen, it's so good to have you here on STO. How you doing?
Bob, we are doing absolutely fantastic. Do you know this little bit of trivia that Greg the Hammer Valentine was actually a Hart Foundation member when it was just being established?
Now that is trivia because I don't remember. I mean, maybe I was a little too young for that one.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Hart, Jim, myself, and Bret Hart. So it was the four of us. So that was like 1985, 86. They went off to be the Hart Foundation by themselves, and then I went off.
Did they stick a Hart in your name anywhere? Because you got Neidhart, Bret Hart, and Jimmy Hart.
Valentine is a Hart.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. And I had hearts on my robe and everything.
So Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Greg Valentine. Most wrestling fans, I would say, think that you guys are retired now, but you're not retired. I mean, you're not with the WWE and on TV all the time anymore, but you are going to be on television here on STO, as a matter of fact, with Pro Wrestling Ohio, and you've got a live event coming up in August, the PWO Resolution, that you're going to be appearing at as well at the Nautica Pavilion. So you guys are not really retired. You guys are
we're like Ric Flair. They retired him, and he's out there wrestling again still. So you could say we're retired, but we still get in the ring and fight. I'm in the Hall of Fame. You're supposed to be retired when you're in the Hall of Fame, but
that's what they say.
This business is in your blood, and you just want to stay in it. It's a business, of course, but it's a sport too, and it's just something that my father was a great wrestler, Johnny Valentine. It's just something that you just love and you just want to keep doing it.
Anvil, is this, that's what I was just going to say, is this the kind of thing that just gets in your blood and you really never fully retire because you're always missing it, and if you stay away?
Well, Bob, I asked my father-in-law, Stu Hart, and Stu Hart used to talk like this. Bobby, you got some big arms on you. Let me say, and he talked like that. I asked Stu. I said, Stu, I'm going on in my late 40s. How long can I wrestle and do this? He goes, I was just starting the business when I was 50.
Yeah, my dad used to say that he would wrestle till he was 70 years old. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but that's just the way you feel. That's a mentality. You just never want to quit,
So how many years have you been in, Greg? When did you start? At what age?
I started at 18 years old, and it was 1972.
And Jim, when did you actually become a professional?
I became a professional
late 70s, wasn't it?
Late 70s, yeah. I got released from the Dallas Cowboys. Had about $10 in my wallet, and some guy came running across the street and says, "You got $1 million in your body in professional wrestling out in San Diego." And I said, "Are you kidding me? I don't even know how to wrestle." Next thing you know, I'm on a bus to Calgary, Canada, being broken in by Stu Hart. The same.
So you were discovered. Somebody saw your physique and just said, "This guy can make it in pro wrestling."
Right.
And they dragged you.
It was like destiny came over and touched you,
Stu
or something
Hart,
like that.
His father-in-law. He broke me into business too. That's where my dad, Johnny Valentine, said, "Oh, you want to be a wrestler? We'll send you to Calgary, 40 below zero."
We broke in at an early age.
Yeah, but you got to go to L.A. you had to go to Calgary. I think you had the easier road there.
Well, no, he lived in L.A. They sent him from L.A. to Calgary.
Okay.
I'm
You were in
Southern
LA.
California,
So
yeah.
you both in it.
We
Okay.
broke in up there in the deep freeze, yeah.
So you guys have seen us. What you just described to me is almost 40 years in the business.
Yes,
40
yes.
years, 30 plus years wrestling
Together it's like
professionally. That's right. So
Yeah.
I mean you saw the heyday of the WWF when it
Yes.
really went mainstream in the 1980s, early
Yeah,
in the 1980s.
1985 with WrestleMania 1. Yes.
Right, and you saw the growth of that company through those years, and then in the 1990s, it morphed a little bit into so much more. And of course, it changed the WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment, and the wrestling kind of changed as well. And now I think it's an entirely different animal. There's still some of the same elements. As you guys have watched it evolve and watched it change, what strikes you the most about the way it was when you were in your primes, as to today's stars, the Randy Ortons and the WWE stars that you see out there now?
Well, I like a lot of the Randy Ortons. We're getting a lot of wrestlers like Ted DiBiase's son and Randy Orton we just mentioned. These are second generation wrestlers, so it's getting back to the more of the old school wrestling. I was just in Houston for WrestleMania 25, and you just sit back and look at it and marvel at how big the business, the sport has become.
You guys were showmen, without question, but today it seems the theatrical side of professional wrestling is at an all-time high. I mean, there's skits and soap opera skits being acted out.
If you don't entertain the people, get some kind of entertainment on them, whether it be the Cleveland Indians or the Browns, people don't get entertained, you're not going to sell seats,
Right.
That's kind of why you changed it to World Wrestling Entertainment, because it is entertainment. It's a sport, but it's entertainment.
And Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Greg the Hammer Valentine, going to be actually wrestling tonight for the vacant PWO Tag Team Championship tonight at Loyal Oak Lake Park in Norton. Bell time 7 o'clock. You can actually see these two legends live battling the Clash for the vacant championships.
The Clash. Wasn't that a hit record?
No, they were a band at one time, but I think this is a different Clash. And I was taking a look at PWOWrestling.com, and they look pretty tough, you guys. You ready for these young guys?
Yeah.
We're ready.
Let me ask you this: as we talked about the change in wrestling over the course of the last three decades plus that you guys have been involved in it, MMA has come along now and has really kind of taken a lot of the attention as far as fight fans go. There was boxing and there was wrestling, and now mixed martial arts is an entirely different animal, and it's grown very, very popular. Has that impacted wrestling in your mind at all? And what do you think of MMA?
Well, I think MMA is a really tough sport, no doubt. I don't like all the rolling around on the ground. I wish they would make them get them up and fight, because it's kind of hard, seeing that. But I mean, wrestling, we get down on the ground and run around too. But we always try to keep it up. So
get up and get a little more action.
Right.
You want that's the only thing I have against it. But it's very popular. Yeah.
A little more movement rather than watching which
Guys
almost looks like an
hooking.
amateur wrestling bout.
Yeah.
But I've wrestled Ken Shamrock many times, and
So have I. And the other guy, what's his name? Dan Severn.
Dan
He's a
Severn,
big
right,
name.
tough
So you've had guys who have actually been in both,
been
MMA.
in both.
It's a different sport, a different gig. It's good. It's different,
Do you guys have obviously escaped? I don't want to say escaped it. You've survived it and are continuing to thrive in it relatively unharmed. We see so many guys suffer career-ending
really
injuries. I was going to ask you, how did you make it through like that? What was the most significant injury, Jim, that you ever did suffer?
Well, there's been a few. I've been very fortunate. There's something else in my life that God still wants me to do or to happen. But I've been. We're always late for the show for one thing. We're driving 100 miles an hour. I got in a 100-mile-an-hour head-on crash in Calgary in a snowstorm, and I got my nose cut off. And
wow.
And there was no room between the dashboard and my seat. And they looked at the car and said, "Who was sitting there?" And it was me. And I was perfectly fine except for my nose. And they don't know how I lived. It wasn't my time. And
So despite all of the in-ring violence that you've encountered, and share shots and this and that and the other thing, the worst thing that's happened to you was going to the arena and in a car crash. That was
kind of the way. My dad was a big psychology man of wrestling, and he instilled in me. He says, "Greg," he goes, "keep it in the ring. Don't do the high-risk moves, longevity. You just don't want this to be a a short career or a hobby or a weekend warrior type thing, if you want to stay in it a long time, a career, you cut out the dumb stuff and keep it in the ring, and you'll last a long time, and I have.
Well, gentlemen, I got to tell you, this is a genuine pleasure, and I'm very much looking forward to the fight tonight. You got, again, it's at Loyal Oak Lake Park. Loyal Oak, I got to say, that's tough to say. Loyal Oak Lake Park.
It's a real tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister. But it is in Norton tonight. Bell time is 7 o'clock if you want to be there. Front row tickets are $15. General admission tickets are $10 to come and see two of the legends in professional wrestling, wrestling for the vacant tag team titles in Pro Wrestling Ohio. And guys, I'm going to let you take us out of this segment. I want you to tell the Clash, who is probably watching this right now, exactly what they're in for tonight as they take on the legends, Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Well,
Clash, you better watch out, because tonight the Hammer and the Anvil are going to come crashing down with 5,000 elbows.
I think the Clash sounds more like a smash.
Greg the Hammer Valentine, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. We'll be right back on SportsTime Ohio.